By most people's definition, cooking involves the application of heat to food, and it usually results in food with a dramatically different taste and texture. But there's another way to radically transform your favorite ingredients: extreme cold. If you expose nitrogen gas to extreme cold, and I mean colder than 320 degrees below zero, it turns into a liquid. And this super frigid fluid can change the structure of food in an instant. And that means you can shatter fruit, grind soft foods like olives into a fine powder, and, of course, make wonderful homemade ice cream in just minutes. So how does it work? We're about to find out. Joining us are chefs Aki and Alex Talbot. They write a blog called Ideas in Food, which is all about experimentation in the kitchen. They also have a column at Popular Science Online, and they're here today to demonstrate the science behind cooking with cold. Hi, guys.
Hi, Ted.
So, tell me all about our little friend here.
This is liquid nitrogen. It's in a special container called a dewar.
Well, that's good. Anything as cold as liquid nitrogen must be handled properly.
Exactly. You don't want to touch the stuff.
Touching something that is very cold can burn you, the same way coming in contact with intense heat can. The heat is transferred from the flesh to the very cold object or material, and that loss of heat causes tissue damage.
But food made with liquid nitrogen is safe to eat. It's inert and non-toxic.
Great. Let's get started. Liquid nitrogen can be purchased from welding supply companies, but for cooking, you should use nitrogen that's certified as medical grade. You don't need a special license to buy it, but it can be dangerous, so you need to handle it extremely carefully. Normally, when you're making a chocolate ice cream or sorbet, you're taking a mixture of chocolate, vanilla, cream, and sugar, other ingredients, and putting them in an ice cream machine, which slowly and gradually makes a smooth and creamy, delicious dessert. Alex and Aki have a different technique. They're going to use liquid nitrogen to freeze the sorbet instantly. Wow. When you want to boil water, you have to heat it to 212 degrees. But nitrogen has such a low boiling point, minus 320, that of course here in the food lab, which is about 75 degrees, it boils immediately without even applying heat. Boiling does bring to mind something very hot. But the definition of boiling is the transition of a liquid to a vapor. And in this case, the boiling nitrogen is very cold. Okay, so here we have a fairly standard chocolate sorbet mixture, and we're gonna make pearls of sorbet by dropping little droplets into the liquid nitrogen.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. The droplets are gonna freeze as soon as they touch the nitrogen and form little pearls.
When the mixture hits the nitrogen, it freezes or turns into a solid instantly. That allows it to keep the shape of individual small droplets. Okay, so let's have a look at the chocolate pearls that we've made.
So you want to be careful. You don't want to eat the pearls yet. They'll stick to your tongue and they'll burn the inside of your mouth. We're going to actually put them in the freezer to warm up.
Ouch. Mm-hmm. We have to put these in the freezer to warm them up. In about 20 minutes, they should be edible. All right, let's see how our chocolate pearl sorbet tastes.
What do you think?
Delicious. Liquid nitrogen allows us to make sorbet much more quickly than traditional methods. But sorbet is something you'd expect to freeze. Now, we're going to look at a less obvious use of extreme cold. When we say we're cooking with cold, we mean we're changing the texture or flavor of foods by exposing them to very cold temperatures. And the result can be a frozen dessert, or it can also be used to create new textures, like a very fine powder made from ingredients that you normally couldn't grind. Now, Alex and Aki are going to make a very interesting ground seasoning with walnuts, dried olives, and sugar. This inventive mix can be used to season fish or a salad. But first, they have to super freeze it. Why is that, Aki?
The reason we have to super freeze the ingredients is because they're ingredients that are normally high in fat. Mm-hmm. And so when you grind them, they become pasty. We want them to be a beautiful, light powder.
Okay.
Okay, and so by freezing them, It will allow us to grind them without releasing all of the oils in the ingredients.
Very cool.
Okay?
Cryogenic grinding, also known as freeze grinding, is when you use an extremely cold fluid like liquid nitrogen to make something very brittle before grinding it. It's a technique used for plastics and in microbiology labs, but today we're bringing it into the kitchen. And there you go.
How's it looking?
It looks like a nice fine powder. When we come back, let's see what else these guys can cook up. We still have one more experiment we'd like to conduct with liquid nitrogen. Lucky for me, it has some delicious results. It is interesting to note that although it's rare to see liquid nitrogen in kitchens, nitrogen gas is not at all uncommon. It makes up 78% of the Earth's atmosphere. And now, time for everybody's favorite, homemade ice cream, in less than 5 minutes. Aki, what's your favorite flavor?
My favorite flavor is mascarpone ice cream, and today we're gonna make that with shattered raspberries.
Sounds delicious.
The liquid nitrogen allows us to freeze the raspberries so that the mascarpone, which is beautiful and white, will actually not become streaked and pink in color. It'll stay bright and white.
So let's get to it. The liquid nitrogen freezes the raspberries much more quickly than a traditional freezer. Cool. This reduces the number of ice crystals that form, which is a good thing because they damage the fruit's cell structure and texture. The liquid nitrogen has made the raspberries so brittle that when struck, they break into individual drupelets. A druplet is one of the many small sections that together form a raspberry.
Now we're gonna make the ice cream.
Great. Now the base they are using is just mascarpone mixed with a simple syrup to add some sweetness. And then all you need to do is add some liquid nitrogen to it. Do I keep stirring?
You're gonna keep stirring.
Please don't freeze my fingers off.
Nope.
Now, do we feel at all uncomfortable about adding nitrogen to our ice cream?
By the time the ice cream is finished, all the nitrogen will have evaporated out of it.
Oh, wow. Making ice cream using liquid nitrogen has a few advantages over the traditional method. Not only is it much faster, but the quick freezing makes for smaller ice crystals, and that gives the ice cream a creamier texture. This means you can get the same creamy texture using less milk fat than you would need for traditionally frozen ice cream. And the ice cream did not turn pink. It has that pretty white color.
And if you wanted it a little firmer, you could add more nitrogen, but we like our ice cream soft.
Oh, this looks perfect. Okay, everybody grab a spoon. Let's check it out. Mmm, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Just like Grandma's. Well, in a few years. Will liquid nitrogen someday end up in everybody's kitchen next to the toaster? Well, there was a time when none of us had a microwave oven.